and welcome everybody here to our very special class today at the Rec Innovation Lab, where we have a guest with us, Gregg Anderson, who is going to be sharing with us about a lot of information about branding, about marketing, and I love having Gregg come in and talk to the classes. You know, normally when he comes and visits us, it's in person, it's in the classroom, and so now we're doing this in the new realm of the virtual world, and it works. But again, if you have any questions, please do put them in the chat. I'll be sharing a survey link afterwards if you can give us your feedback. And I will now pass it over to Gregg, who can tell you a little bit about himself and take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Tanya. So today's presentation is going to be about building a sales and marketing budget like a pro. So who is this handsome guy? I'm a Coast Guard veteran. I founded 4 companies. I do a lot of mentorship work at the Zahn Center, the Lavin Entrepreneurship Center at SDSU, and obviously working with Tanya. I've built digital marketing strategies for probably over 300 companies over the past decade, and I consider myself an expert in mapping out growth strategy. This is where I started, circa 2009, this really cheesy logo and this really cheesy tagline. The next company that I built, we launched a version of LinkedIn for students. We spent about 2,000 hours developing it, launched the platform, had about 1,000 students on, and realized the business model just wasn't going to work. And then my next gig was 41 Orange. So this was 6 years. We were private equity backed. We grew the firm 134% year over year for 3 consecutive years. And we specialized in in-person event marketing. So you can guess what happened during COVID. We basically had to dissolve the company, which definitely sucked. But of course, that doesn't, entrepreneurs doesn't keep you from starting a new company. So our new company is Origin 63, and basically we help our customers by providing marketing talent, technology, and consulting solutions. Okay, so what are we going to learn today? We're going to learn how to build a growth projection, how to set key milestones, and how to measure your progress via KPIs. Does anyone know what KPIs are? Key performance indicators? And then you're going to have some fun. I have some random memes in here that hopefully will get you to laugh.
You gave it away when you told them, right when you asked them what KPI was. I was going to wait and see if we could get anybody in there, but to answer the question. But no, I love the pictures. I love the memes, and I won't interrupt again. So. Oh,
no worries. Yeah, you guys can put answers in the chat too if I have questions. I'd love to make this interactive and not just me talking at you. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, what is a growth projection? It is not a profit and loss statement. It is a supporting document that accompanies your profit and loss statement. It's used to outline your key assumptions of what you're going to do in terms of revenue. And it's also a tool that helps you understand and validate if your goals are actually achievable. And that's a huge one. Okay. So before we get into this, I want to talk about some of those KPIs. So I'm going to go over these. The first one is average revenue per account. So basically, if someone is, let's say someone's paying you $10,000 a month and it's $120,000 a year, and that's like, let's say all of your clients pay you that much, then your average revenue per account is that $10,000 a month. Pretty simple, pretty simple. And how you calculate that is you just take your total revenue, you divide it by the number of customers, and that's your average revenue per account. Okay, customer lifetime value. So this is the value of a customer over the lifetime in which they work with you. An example would be if they pay you $100,000 a year on average, and they stick with you for 2 years, then your customer lifetime value is $200,000. Very easy math. None of this will be like rocket science or, I don't know, algorithms or anything like that. And please do participate in the chat. If you have a question, you want me to stop, explain something, more than happy to do that. Okay, customer acquisition cost. So this is the cost that it takes to acquire one customer. An example would be if you spent $100 on marketing and you acquired 100 customers, the customer acquisition cost is $100. It's really simple division, right? How much you spent on marketing and sales, and then you divide that by how many new customers you get, and that's your customer acquisition cost. How much it costs you to acquire one customer. Okay, customer acquisition cost payback period. So this is the period and the number of months that it takes you to pay back that cost. So let's say your customer acquisition cost was $10,000 and you charge that customer, let's say $1,000 a month. Well, it would take you 10 months if you had 100% profit margin, 10 months to pay back that initial customer acquisition cost. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Anyone want to chat and have questions about that? Okay, cool. All right, so this is lifetime value to customer acquisition cost ratio. This ratio should typically be 3 to 1. If it's close to 1 to 1, it means that you're spending too much. If it's 5 to 1, it means you're spending too little. So basically what this measures is based on your lifetime value and comparing that against your customer acquisition cost. For every dollar that you put in this case, you'd be getting $3 back. So that's why if you're 1 to 1, it means that you're spending too much. We want to get that $3 back for every dollar spent. If you're getting $5, then it means we can increase our marketing budget and we can generate more customers. All right, average customer value, I think we covered that. That's like the same one as the earlier definition of average revenue per account. And then finally, one that every business owner should know is how to calculate return on investment. I bet if you went into 100 companies that are established that have been around for 10 years, and you went in there and you asked the executive team to write this formula out on a whiteboard, they would not know how to do it.
That's scary.
They understand what ROI means, but like just even knowing the formula is really good to know. Okay. And then finally, churn rate. And churn rate is the percentage of customers that leave you. So let's say you bring on 10 new customers per year and half of them leave, then your churn rate is 50%. So you lose half of your customers every year. The goal here is to get your churn rate very, very low. Gross margin. So this is probably remember this from your accounting class if you've taken one yet. It's basically the percentage of the dollars that you make and how much of that is actually profit. So if you sell a $100 widget and it cost you $70 to make, then you've made $30, or 30 out of 100, you have a 30% gross margin. Okay. You have any questions coming up?
We do have some questions coming up. People are just wanting the formulas, and they're trying to quickly take pictures of them or screenshots. Oh. And I wanted to remind everybody also, I'm recording the video too, so I'll be happy to share with you the video, and so you can go back to them again and look at the formulas. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to be sharing these slides with you too, so you don't feel like you have to take notes or anything.
Oh, thank you. That's wonderful. So great. So I'll make sure to share then the slides with everybody who's here today. So great.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So now that we've reviewed these definitions, let's talk about business models. So this is Ultra Agent. They're the leader in real estate website creation and content management. And let's pull apart their business model. All right. So they have an initial setup fee of $250. This is helping real estate agents get a website up and running. And then after that website is set up, they charge $150 a month. They also have an annual 12-month contract. So that's the minimum amount of time that you have to stay with them for, and a 50% renewal rate. So 50% of customers after those 12 months will renew for another year. So what is their customer's lifetime value over 2 years? Does anyone want to take a shot at this?
Let's see in the chat here. All right, anybody want to do that math? Is anybody out there plugging those numbers in? Want to give it a shot?
Is it 3,600? I don't know if that's, I think that's right. 3,600.
Yay, math.
Close.
Close. Yeah.
Close. Pretty close. Okay. So here's how to do that math.
Kieran.
And again, this is just simple division, subtraction, addition, and multiplication. There's no like calculus in here. All right. So initially it costs $250 to set up. And then they're going to pay $150 a month for that initial 12 months, right? And then 50% of those customers are going to renew. So you just take that 12 months times 150 times the renewal rate, and their customer lifetime value over 2 years is $2,950. Does that make sense to everybody? Does anyone have questions of how I calculated that? So I took that initial setup fee, and then we know that for the first year, it's 12 months times 150 monthly fee. And we know for the second year that 50% of them renew. So you just take the 150 times 12 and then times 0.5. And you add that all up, and that's where you get the customer's lifetime value. So this is an easy way of looking at this would be like, oh, if it's $100 a month and it's 24 months, then it's $2,400. That's like really simple. But as you look at business models, like charging a setup fee and what your renewal rate is going to be, these are important. This is an important calculation that you need to make. All right, moving on. So is this good or what? Is this a good customer lifetime value? Put in the chat your answer. If you think it's good or not. Okay, it depends on CAC. Yep. Herman says yes. CAC, yep. Awesome, you guys are sharp. We don't know. We don't know if it's a good customer lifetime value. And yes, it does depend on what our customer acquisition cost is, right? So if it cost us $10,000 to acquire a customer and we're only making this $3,000, then we're losing $7,000. So we don't know yet. So let's continue on. Okay. Let's say that their marketing budget was $96,000 over a period of 14 months, and they acquired 109 customers. What's their customer acquisition cost? Go ahead and put it in the chat. So we spent $96,000 and we acquired 109 customers. How much did it cost? Perfect, Raj. Yep, $888.
Good job. Yep.
It's just simply taking the 96,000. You can pretty much ignore this 14 months. You just divide that by 109, and that's going to get your customer acquisition cost of $888. All right, so is this good? Tell me, is this good? Yes? Sure? We don't know. Therefore, aliens.
Aliens.
So what's missing? What's missing out of this scenario? We know how much it costs to acquire a customer. We know what their LTV is. What's missing? $880 to get $2,950 in return. What's missing? I'll give you a hint. Ratio, no. How about the cost to provide the services? Gross margin, yep, you did it again, Raj. Nice work.
Good job.
Okay, yep. All right, so if each customer is worth this $3,000 over 2 years, we pay $880 to acquire them. We don't know. We've calculated what a customer is worth in revenue, but we didn't calculate what they add to the bottom line, gross margin. So we're going to say that the gross margin on the product is 70%. All right, so who can give me the math? Who can tell me if we spend $888 and we get that 2,915 return, the 70% margin, how much are we actually making? Go ahead and put in the chat if you're actually calculating this. Just say, yes, I'm calculating.
To get my glasses.
Okay, we'll keep this rolling along. All right, so here's the math. $2,950 customer's lifetime value over 2 years. Multiply that by 70%, and our gross margin is $2,065. So for this customer's lifetime value is $2,950. What actually goes towards the bottom line is this $2,065. Mm. So there's a basically 30% of this goes towards actually providing the services.
The cost.
All right, and then that $2,065, and we subtract the customer acquisition cost, and that actually gives us our ROI per customer in dollars, right? So $2,065 minus $888 equals $1,177 ROI per customer. So we basically invested $888 to make $1,177 in return. Is that good? Go ahead and type in the chat if you think that's good. We've got a no, we've got a yes.
Yes.
Yes. Tanya, do you think that's good?
Is that good?
Yeah, is that good? We put in $888 and we made $1,177 back. Is that good?
Was that 3 to 1? It doesn't look like 3. It doesn't look like 3 to 1 to me.
It doesn't look like 3 to 1, yeah. But I think it's good. Like if a friend said, "Hey, can I borrow $888 and I'll pay you back $1,177?"
Not bad, not bad.
I'd be like, "Okay, yeah, I'll take that deal."
We'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, part of this is like it looks good on paper, right? Maybe you compare this to competitors and they have a 90% margin, and maybe, okay, we need to figure out how to provide our services for less. Mm-hmm. Or we need to figure out maybe we should raise our prices to get and if we can do that successfully, that's going to improve our ROI. Okay. Here's the fun part. We're going to talk about customer acquisition cost payback. So this is how you calculate that. So you take your average revenue per account and you multiply that by your gross margin, right? So that's the $2,950. And divide that into your CAC. So if we take the average revenue per account is that $250 setup fee plus $150 a month times 12 months, and then you divide that by 12, you're basically charging approximately, well, actually, yes, you're charging $170 $1,083 a month. Now, if you look at this customer acquisition cost, we need to look at how long does it take to actually pay that back. So if we're getting $170 a month, multiply that by the 70% gross margin, because we don't want to do it based on revenue. We want to do it based on what's coming to the bottom line. And if you do that math, you'll see that the customer acquisition payback period is about 7.5 months. So if you pay this $888 and you're getting this in return, that means it's going to take 7.5 months for that customer acquisition cost investment to break even. Past that 7.5 months, now you're starting to actually make revenue, or now you're actually starting to make a profit off that customer. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
So we're paying for customers upfront, knowing that we're going to get revenue from them. And there's a certain period of time before that customer actually becomes profitable. So part of something to think about is if you have a specific number of customers and you know your customer acquisition cost, or if you're going after a specific amount of customers, you can do a cash flow analysis to see how much cash do I actually need up front, and then when does that investment start to pay off? And that can help you figure out, if you are going to scale, how you can set realistic goals for scaling.
And Gregg, I have a question for you. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm just wondering, when if you haven't done this before, if you haven't actually spent the money on advertising, if you're a startup, how do you estimate what you will spend?
I'm so glad you asked that, because I have that in this presentation.
Great, wonderful.
All right, cool. So is that good? 7.5 months? Who says it's good?
I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that good?
Good, not good? The truth is, we don't know. And the reason that we don't know is because how much cash does this business have? Can they wait 7.5 months to see their return come back? If they're have really good cash flow and they have a bunch of cash in the bank, they can make these investments waiting for them to return. If they are light on cash and they need that return quickly, then this is not good. Does that make sense? So basically, can they wait that amount of time? Okay. Now let's look at the LTV to CAC ratio, which is simply the LTV divided by the CAC, and that gives you that nice little ratio. I saw it earlier in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So right now that's 3.32 to 1, so $3.32 for every dollar invested. And then what I like to do is I like to do a version of this that actually looks at the gross margin, right? Because you could have a really great LTV to CAC ratio, but if you don't actually have a profit margin on this, then this kind of doesn't tell you anything. So I like to use the gross margin number for CAC instead. So the practice of like 3 to 1 is really built around this top equation. And then I prefer to use this bottom one. I want to see like the real, I'm putting in $1 and getting $2.32 back in profit versus $3.32 back in revenue. Okay, so is that good? Put in the chat if you think this is good.
Decent.
Yeah, I would say sure. If you put me in front of a slot machine, you put $1 in and you got $2.32 out every time you did it,
No
I'd
complaint.
take that. Yeah, sure. Now again, you can compare that to industry averages, right? And maybe this is really low, but yeah, sure. I think it's good. Okay, so we're gonna do pop quiz. Ultra Agent has 1,000 customers. they want to scale up to 4,000 customers over the next 24 months. What does their monthly budget for sales and marketing need to be? So think about that. There are 1,000 customers. They want to get to 4,000. So they want to bring on another 3,000 customers. And you multiply that by what? Yep, that's it. You're correct, Karen. Yes. Isaac, yes. We would take that 3,000 and we would multiply it by our customer acquisition cost. And if we do that calculation, our budget for sales and marketing needs to be 2.6 million over a period of 24 months. And that's about a budget of $111,000 a month for sales and marketing. So question is, they want to get another 3,000 customers over the next 24 months. They're going to need 2.6 million in revenue in cash in the bank. And so this is a really good way to double check if your goals are realistic. If they don't have that cash, then they need to lower their expectations of how many customers they can get, or they need to go raise this cash, whether it's like going to a VC or a private equity firm, or going to a bank if they can get a loan like that. They basically need to come up with this cash somewhere. All right. Let's say Ultra Agent wants to generate 91 customers over the next 14 months, 268,000 in LTV, and they don't know their customer acquisition cost. How do they estimate this? So we want to generate 91 customers over the next 14 months. It's actually a trick question. We can't calculate it yet until we go through this exercise, which is going to answer Tanya's question of how do we estimate customer acquisition cost. Okay, so before we can answer that question, let's take a look at some definitions here. This is like if you were in B2B sales. There's a way to do this for B2C as well. But essentially in B2B sales, there's a life cycle that prospective customers go through to becoming a client. First, they're a prospect, then they're a lead, then they're a marketing qualified lead, and so on until they become a customer. So a prospect is someone that you've identified via like purchasing a list or other means, but there has been no communication yet. They may or may not have ever heard from you. Then we market to them and they become a lead. So this is a contact that is in your CRM. They fit your ideal client profile. So in other words, like you know that they're going to be a good fit, potentially a good fit for the business that you have to offer for services. But we don't have that much information about them. So this could be someone who, let's say, like subscribed to a newsletter, has been reading your blog articles, has been downloading ebooks. This is all trackable. Then a marketing qualified lead. So this is someone who is further down the funnel. They're downloading a bunch of content on your website. They're attending your events, and they're indicating some type of purchase behavior. For example, they came to your webinar, and if that kind of piqued their interest, would suggest that that buying behavior. Then we have a sales qualified lead, and this is a lead that you've actually spoken to on the phone or in person who has passed your BANT test. So the BANT test is budget. Do they have the budget to work with you? Authority. Are they actually the decision maker, or do they have to bring this up the chain of command? Need. They have a compelling reason why they're buying. So like, hey, our board says that we need to grow by 50% a year. Well, that's like pretty compelling, right? Because your board's forcing you to do it. Versus, let's say a guy that's running a company for 20 years, and he's like, yeah, I'd love to grow 30% this year, and he's taking home a $2 million paycheck. Well, he's probably not going to be as motivated. So you really need to define that need of like, why do you need this? And then timeline. So are they buying in a specific timeline, right? oh, yeah, we need to get this going like ASAP yesterday versus, oh, it's going to be next quarter versus, oh, it's going to be next year. So if they pass this BANT test, they're a sales qualified lead. Finally, then they become an opportunity. So this is a contact who has entered your proposal phase. So they've actually, now we're meeting and we're talking about basically working through what services they need. And then a customer, right? A contact who has actually signed your contract. Deal stage is closed won. Woo! Ring the bell. All right, so let's talk conversion rates. So we need to kind of break this down into how many opportunities does it take to generate like one new customer. That's also called your close rate. So let's say like you have 10 deals in your sales pipeline and you close half of them, then your close rate would be 50%. So let's do some simple math. If you need 10 customers and your close rate is 40%, how many opportunities do you need in your sales pipeline? So if you need 10 customers and your close rate is 40%, how many opportunities do you need in your sales pipeline? 25, 400, 25? Let's take a look. 25. And how we did that, very simply, is we took 10 and you divide that by 0.4. And that tells you how many opportunities you need. And then if you do this backwards, 25 times 0.4, you're going to get 10. Very simple math. Okay. And if we need 25 opportunities, and 1 out of every 2 sales qualified leads become opportunities, then how many sales qualified leads do we need?
Yep.
Raj says 50, Herman says 50. Woo! You guys are on this. Hot. Hot in the hot tub. All right, cool. And if you need 50 sales qualified leads, and 1 out of 10 of those marketing qualified leads become, I should say, sales qualified leads, then how many marketing qualified leads do you need? That's it. Yep.
Good job.
Good job, Raj. 500 marketing qualified leads. And then if you need 500 marketing qualified leads and 50% of your leads become marketing qualified leads, then how many leads do you need? Woohoo! 1,000. Yep. That's it. Yeah. 1,000 leads. Okay, cool. And if you need 1,000 leads and your marketing campaign converts at 10%, then how many prospects do you need to reach? 10,000. That's it.
There it is. Yep.
Yep. 10,000. Right? Okay. And if you need to reach 10,000 prospects, how do you do that? I'm just kidding. All right. Okay. Back to being serious. So how does this help me figure out my customer acquisition cost? Well, so you work with your sales team to understand their estimated close rates. You work with your marketing team to understand their estimated cost per lead, and you put it all together. And there's some, if you look online, you should be able to find some averages. So in this case, this is the average cost per lead by industry. So you can see IT services up here at $370. Financial services here at $272. So basically, if we needed 1,000 leads, then you multiply that 1,000 leads by the lead cost, and that would give you your marketing budget. And then you would look at what kind of sales team do you need to support working 1,000 leads. And that might, and that's going to depend on how many leads each rep can work per month. And that will tell you how many reps you need. There's also average cost per lead by company size. So if you're targeting middle market or if you're targeting enterprise, you can see that there's certainly a different cost there as well. It's cheaper to target smaller companies because it's easier to get in touch with the decision makers. Here's another one, annual cost per lead by company revenue. So how much those companies are making. So now let's put this all together for you. All right, so here is a spreadsheet that shows these calculations. So and you always start from the bottom up. So let's say you need 2 deals the first month, 4 deals the second month, and then 6 deals the next month to hit your revenue goals. And let's say your close rate is 40%. So out of those 2 new deals, we need to have 5 opportunities. You can typically convert 80% of your sales qualified leads to opportunities. So we need 6 sales qualified leads. 20% of your marketing qualified leads become sales qualified. So we need 31 marketing qualified leads. And you can basically just work up until you know how many people you need to reach out to. So in this first month, we need to reach about 1,400 people. There's tools that you can use for LinkedIn automation, where you can basically just put in a list of that you get from Sales Navigator, and it'll automatically send a series of messages to those people. So that's an example of how you can get to them. Or there's email programs that will automatically send out emails. You just upload the list and then you can send a series of messages. So there's some really great ways to automate this. And then that turns into this, which is, here's my projection. Again, here's that setup fee of $250. Here's the average monthly recurring. And then I'm, continuing to add in the new customers. Here's that gross margin. So here's how much we're making on a monthly basis. Here's the running total of how much we've made. Here's the marketing investment that we're making on a monthly basis. And then ultimately, here's our cash flow. So you can see in this scenario, we're spending this $64.50 per month. And we start to break even on our cash in month 7 or month 8, that payback period, right? But you can see from a running total, we're actually still negative about 34,000. And that will eventually go to positive at some point. But what this tells me is that we're going to need a peak cash of at least $35,000 before it starts going down. So if we're going to run this campaign, we're going to need at least like the ability to have $35,000 in the bank. Does that make sense? It is a template, and I can provide that to you guys. Okay, and then what it tells you is it auto-calculates all those fun numbers that we talked about earlier, which is, here's the marketing budget, here's how much we did in sales, calculate the gross margin. This is over like a 14-month period. And we have negative cash flow of 17,000 over that 14 months. We've got our lifetime value. So total marketing budget, marketing source sales. Remember that we're using the lifetime value, not what they did in the first year, but what their total worth is. Put in our gross margin, put in our ROI, and then it gives us that ROI percentage as well. Key metrics here. So total marketing budget, 96,000. We acquired 109 customers. Each customer is worth $888. The average customer is worth $29.50. Take out the gross margin, they're worth $20.65. And then that ROI per customer is $11.77. And then again, here's our LTV to CAC ratio. And then payback period. I don't know why that's a little different than why we calculated before. All right, so your turn. Who wants to be a glutton for punishment? wants their business model removed. No takers? Okay, let's go to
Anyone wanna-
questions.
Can we have ours?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I bet somebody out there wants it. I bet they're just kind of kicking it around. So who said that?
Vedant.
All right, Vedant,
Yeah. Should I turn my video on or is it fine?
you can turn your video on if you want, Vedant.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So our team is Meddler. So should I just like explain to you what it is, or like how do you want me to do it?
Yeah, like just tell me about your business model. Do you have some of these like numbers figured out?
Yeah, we don't really have any of the numbers figured out.
Okay.
It'd probably be
Yeah.
hard with. Sorry, go ahead, Greg. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. So our app, it's like we're in like the medical health tech field.
Mhm.
So what we do is we actually partner with like EHR systems, like the
Mhm.
electronic health records, and then they in turn like they market it for us
Mhm.
to the nursing facilities.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's like a proper way of explaining it, but that's like,
Yeah.
kind of like a simple way of
Yeah. So in that case, you're building your business through channel partners. And
Yeah.
so the way I would do it in your case is I would look at what's the channel partner acquisition cost, and then what does each channel partner bring back in terms of revenue, and then of course calculate that against your gross margin,
Okay.
because you're not going direct to the customer. So, but there is a cost associated with building a new channel partner relationship. That might be like a sales team. That might be, going there in person and talking to them, and there's a cost to that. And one of the things that you should look at too, which is a really common mistake for early entrepreneurs, is they don't, like I've heard even some experienced entrepreneurs, well, I get my customers for free because I just do all the calling. And like, so you're telling me your time isn't worth anything.
Yeah.
Right? So think about what your time is worth, even though you're not paying yourself. And have that as like an anchor of what it does cost to pick up those channel partners. Like, oh, I spent 10 hours on this. I value my time at, $50 an hour. And then it's $500 for each new person we bring on. And that way, when you do get funding and you do start to get customers, you already kind of have an idea of how much you're going to need to spend to get to those new channel partners.
Okay.
And then I would measure the revenue of what are those channel partners bringing to the table on average.
Okay.
And then you could do it against your gross margin, and that's how you can calculate your ROI.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, let's do some questions. What do we got?
So if everybody wants to, at this point, you're welcome to turn on your videos. You're welcome to turn on your mic. And then for the view, there's two views. There's the speaker view and then the grid view. So you can choose the grid view so you can see more of us at the same time and start asking questions. Let us know what you'd like answered. Everybody's quiet.
Yeah.
Was it too much math in the morning?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry, who's this?
This is Isaac.
Hi, Isaac.
Hi, I'm gonna get my video off because I need to shave and shower. I'm still in bed. But I had a quick question. So if our model is mostly dependent on advertisements and monthly subscriptions, it's kind of be a little bit different, correct?
No, actually, this would be perfect for that model.
Okay.
Because it's similar, like you're going to have a monthly fee, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a subscription. And then you're going to be paying money in advertising. So you take the amount of money that you're paying in advertising and you divide that by the number of customers that you're getting. That gives you your customer acquisition cost. And then you look at your subscription, how long they stay with you, that gives you your customer lifetime value. So you can do all those calculations with that. In fact, yours is like a perfect fit for running this these equations?
I actually meant so we will be having the advertisements on our platform.
Oh,
Okay. So then I would calculate the cost of driving traffic to your platform.
Mm-hmm.
Or, well, you need users to sign up, right?
Yeah, because it's obviously the amount that we get for the advertisements is going to change when we get more and more customers.
Okay. So in
It's
that
not gonna be a
case,
fixed rate.
what I would do is I would take you're going to have basically, you're still going to have a customer acquisition cost because those people that are signing up are it's going to cost you money to acquire them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what you do is you would take your total advertising revenue and you divide that by the number of customers, and that would give you like your average revenue per customer.
Okay.
And then you can compare that against your customer acquisition cost.
Okay.
That's how I would do it.
Okay. Thank you. That helps.
I have a question. This is Karen. Do you have any suggestions or tips on places where we can go and I guess find more information on starting the marketing budget and what averages that typically costs? Because I feel like a lot of us are at the point where we don't even know how much we're going to charge for our service or our app yet, because a lot of us haven't done that testing. So because we haven't done that testing, it's hard to even come up with the initial cost in order to continue the ball rolling. So as far as like, I guess, guesstimating, what would you recommend as far as, I guess, even figuring out what a marketing budget needs other than what you explained? Because we haven't gotten to the point where we can even get the base number yet, so it makes it difficult to go further past that.
Sure. So then what I would do is I would do surveys with prospective customers, and in your survey, one of your questions is going to be basically like, how much would you pay? And you'd have a Likert scale, or you'd have maybe 5 different options. And then after you get, let's say, 100 survey participants, that's going to give you a pretty good idea of what they are going to pay. The other way to do it is, which is a little riskier, is just to do some advertising and then find out what happens in the back end. Or however you plan to market it. Doesn't necessarily mean to be advertising.
For ours in particular, we planned on doing Facebook and Instagram advertising, and basically having them generate clicks to leads to our landing page.
Okay.
And basically however many sign up.
Okay, perfect.
And
so there you go.
And that's because, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but Karen, that's because that's what you found were the best channels when you were doing your testing?
For us, particularly for estheticians, because we're doing a dual-sided market where they're basically, our educators are also teaching to the same market, at least in the beginning. I tend to find that older educators, 35, 40 plus, they're usually on Facebook, and usually the newer ones fresh out of school, the 18-year-olds are on Instagram.
And we will be doing what you're talking about, Greg. One of the next steps in the incubator is actually doing the payment testing. So
awesome, cool, yeah.
Thank you for that, though. Doing the survey thing and then doing the different numbers and then potentially averaging the top 2 ties or whatever would be a good way to kind of
yeah. Entrepreneurship is just a series of setting hypotheses and then looking at the results and seeing if you were right or wrong, and then using that information to make decisions to move forward.
Perfect. Thank you.
Other questions?
Hi, this is Raj. So I was wondering how this would adapt to like a goods-based service, because things like customer acquisition, payback period, lifetime value, in a business where somebody might just buy our product once, how would this adapt?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a great question. So if you're selling a product that's one-off, you're still going to have a customer acquisition cost. You're still going to have a gross margin in that product, but the LTV just might be that individual purchase. But I would make a suggestion that if you're going to build a direct to consumer, like maybe it's an e-commerce play and you're selling widgets, then you make it attractive enough to the point where they have to come back to the site to continue, purchasing the new product releases, or maybe it's a widget where they need like a filter that needs to be replaced like every once a month. You still want to make your business model sticky where they continue to come back. So the way that you would do that is you would look at a list of all your customers, and then you would basically take all the revenue that they've done and you would divide that by the number of customers that you have, and that would become that LTV. Does that make
Got
sense?
it. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw a question in there, Greg, about somebody was asking about B2B. Is there any difference with B2B? I don't know.
Yeah, so the difference, so I did this model based on B2B, but there's also B2C, which is very similar. It's basically, instead of there being like leads and marketing qualified leads, you would base it off of the customer's journey to becoming a customer, which means like, so you'd have, let's say you're selling a wine. You'd say, okay, we're spending, well, let me start over. Okay, so you would work backwards. How many people became customers? Out of that, how many people put something in their shopping cart? Out of that, how many people created a shopping cart based on their traffic? And out of that, how much traffic do we need to get to the number of customers we want? So you just, again, you start backwards.
The funnel.
So let's say it's like the average shopping cart abandonment rate is 70%. Let's just use 50% for easy math. So
Like that.
yeah, if you need 10 checkouts, right? And 50% abandon the cart, then you need 20 people to add something to your cart. And if 10% of your visitors add something to a cart, then you're going to need 200 visits. And you can calculate the cost of your visits through advertising, right? So if it's you're spending, $5 per click, 5 times 200, and then that gives you your total spend, right? And then you can divide that by the number of customers that you got, and there's your customer acquisition cost.
So does and forgive me, it's been a while since I've used the tools they used to call Google Analytics, and now Google My Business. Does My Business actually calculate that for you? I feel like it did. It calculated a lot of this for you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have Google Analytics, then you can set it up, and it'll show you step by step what those conversions look like.
Would you recommend doing that? Would you recommend using that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hands down. You might need to hire like someone who has some experience in Google Analytics to set it up for you, but once it's set up, then you're good to go.
Cool.
Wonder if I have an example. Oh, I definitely need a faster computer.
Don't we all?
Okay. Can you still see my screen? Or did I?
No, you have to hit share screen again. I think I might have taken it off. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. Where are you, Zoom? You're hiding. Stop hiding. Okay, here we go.
Aw, cute. We can see your family. Adorable.
All right, here we go. Let me see if I still have access to this. might have gotten kicked out because this was a client that I worked with a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Stock prints. All right. And then go to acquisition. And it should show the steps here. Or conversions. Yeah, it doesn't look like they have this set up. But basically, it looks at like
Yeah.
how much traffic you have, how much of that traffic converted to someone putting something in their cart, how many people abandoned their cart, and then those left over, how many people actually went through and made a purchase.
Yeah.
And in this case, you're still looking at their average order value. It's not how many products they have purchased. It's the total value of
The basket.
their cart of when they
Yeah.
checked out.
Yeah.
And if you have enough data on people checking out, then you can average that and you can create, this is our average order value,
Mm-hmm.
times it by your gross margin, and that's going to give you that profit. And then you can compare that against your customer acquisition cost.
And so analytics is what I always used before, but now they have that, the My Business. Are they the same, or does Google My, it's called My Business, Google My Business, and it's free right now during COVID. Is that the same, or does it not do as much as analytics does, or do you know?
That's a good question. I haven't really, no, I think Google My Business is more like setting it up to be visible online.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Having a business profile on the internet.
Okay. It doesn't, I didn't think it did as much as the analytics did, but I was excited when I saw that it was free right now.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, nice, Google Analytics for free.
Yeah. And it will show you like how many visitors you have, but it's not going to show you the conversion rates.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Oh, okay. Well, that's too bad.
Yeah. Bad. I mean, that's really what it's all about. It's just about those conversion rates.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I know a lot of the students have been asking about that. How do they improve their conversion rates, or how do they figure out what they actually are? And now I think, if you were able to follow along and do the math, now we all know how we can actually calculate those conversion rates, and I think this is going to be really helpful for all of us. I really appreciate you actually sharing the slides too, so that we can go back again and all calculate these.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll share this real quick. So this is from our HubSpot account. And you can see here's the conversion statistics over the last 90 days. Mm. So I can actually do a percentage analysis on this. Mm. And then I can use that to determine like how many, again, working backwards, how many deals I need in my pipeline on a quarterly basis in order to reach a specific goal. And B2B, if you're MRR based monthly recurring revenue, then you can also build probability adjusted forecast. So like based on when deals are going to close, how much revenue do we think we're going to bring in per month? Mm. So there's lots of cool reports that you can keep.
And how much does that cost?
Oh, this tool, they have a free version, and they also have like a $50 a month version.
Have you used the free version? Does it have enough on there that we could use it as, bootstrapping entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think so. If it's a B2B business, then absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. That's HubSpot, by the way.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, other questions?
I'll put that in the chat too, HubSpot. I definitely want to play with that HubSpot. Awesome. Yeah. So Vivek was asking if there's if you have a summary of the tools that you would recommend, you know, obviously on the cheaper side, you know, doesn't always have to be free is what we've learned in working with some of these tools. You know, sometimes the very inexpensive version is just so much better than the free version. But if you have a list of tools, we would love that, or just a quick summary of what you recommend that we use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. I can put together a tools list for you.
Oh, cool. Thanks. I appreciate it. And when you do that, I will share that with the class.
Okay.
Cool. Any other questions from anyone? Any other questions? So I would, again, I would love it if I actually would love to take a photo of everybody who's here in the gallery view. So if you are still there and you don't mind turning on your camera, then we can take a picture just to memorialize this all being here together. Again, you can put the gallery view instead of the speaker view. And if you wouldn't mind turning on that camera and just giving us a little smile. And I see more of you. Good morning. I see everybody. Hi, Marco. Hi, Rohan. Hi, Paula. Hi, everyone. Good morning. James, good to see everybody. Great. So, hi, good morning. Everybody's like, I don't want to do this. I don't look camera ready, but you look beautiful. You look great. All right. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screenshot of all of us. And here we go. And cheese. Great. Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much. So thank you, Greg. I'm going to go ahead. I should have stopped the recording there. Stop the recording.